On today's podcast, we're going to talk about how you treat other people and how that impacts your success with Van Deeb. Welcome to Lift Your Future, a podcast that teaches you coping skills through stories, methods, and proven techniques to improve relationships and outcomes in your personal and professional life. I'm Nicole Winkler, a licensed therapist and executive coach. On this podcast, we'll share relatable life experiences designed to help you grow. I will provide easy, practical ways to develop thoughts, feelings, and behaviors to impact your life, both personally and professionally. My goal is simple: to help you lift your future. Well, welcome to the show, Van Deeb.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm honored to be here.
Well, I'm honored to have you. So thank you so much. Van Deeb is author, motivational speaker, podcast and radio host. His radio, so you've been doing this about 3 or 4 months, you said?
Yeah, about 3 months. Been doing the radio show called The Journey.
The Journey.
And it's about people's experiences through life and how it can benefit others by telling their story.
Mm-hmm. So giving hope.
Giving hope.
Talking about kind of getting through the hard times. How did we get here? How did we get through that?
Yeah. And, we all got stories. We've all got, some of them started out real bad. Some of them, some people started life on third base, so they didn't have the rough life. And some of us started out on home plate. We had to start from the very beginning.
Or in the dugout.
Using baseball analogy.
Yeah. Or in the stands.
Yeah. With the hot dogs.
Yeah. Oh, concession stands. That's right. So he has his podcast, his radio show, and he is a public speaker as well. You can find him www.vandeeb.com, correct?
Correct. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. So before we got started, we kind of jumped in a little bit, and you were telling me about this 4-letter word.
Yeah.
So you said you have this problem with this 4-letter word.
Yes.
And so can you tell us a little more about that?
Yes. I think if you master the 4-letter word WORK, that anything that you want in life is yours, because that's what's missing in most people's desire. Is they have the drive, desire, and determination, but they're not willing to put in the work. And I consider work the same thing as discipline. When we create a discipline, all of a sudden that task will become a habit, and before you know it, it'll become natural.
Yes.
And so I believe that there's some really great human beings out there that aren't fulfilling their life goals because they aren't working.
And so what is working to you? I heard discipline in that. Yeah. And I think there's a difference between motivation and discipline, right? Like you're not going to be feeling motivated to do all these things every day, but that's the difference between discipline. You make yourself do it because you have a bigger picture in mind.
Yep, you're exactly right. So, of course, everything starts with a plan. So there's a lot that goes into, to me, the word discipline. Everything starts with a plan. You got to have a written plan. And 97% of entrepreneurs and people in business do not have a written plan. Matter of fact, it's fact that they spend more time spending time on planning their family vacation or their kids' graduation than they do their own plan for life.
Their own self.
Yeah. And so everything starts with a plan. And, like I have a little to-do list. I want to make sure I accomplish certain things every day. Sometimes it's getting out of your comfort zone. But I believe that God put us all on a level playing field. And the ones that have succeeded, I know there's luck involved in a lot of people's lives, but I believe that the majority of the people that have succeeded learned how to work and create discipline. And you can't have somebody telling you to do it. It helps if you have a support staff, but we should want something so bad that we don't need somebody over our shoulder saying you can do it. It's helpful if you do. It helps us get there faster if we do have a supportive significant other, spouse, kids, environment.
But sometimes the ones that aren't supportive are the ones that motivate us the most too.
That's a good way to look at it.
I have a really good friend who, somebody had told him, you can't be a chiropractor. And he was like, yes, I can. Yeah. He's like, I use that to fuel me all the way through. Yeah. I'm like, good for you. Yeah. And I'm so proud of him.
Yeah.
So
I've
sometimes
used that.
that is very motivational as well.
Yeah, you can use naysayers. A lot of people use that as major motivation. You say, I can't. Somebody says you can't. You say, watch me. I mean, that was, my mission in my beginning of my life was not out to prove people wrong. I was out to prove me right, that I knew what I wanted to do. And I had people say when I started my real estate firm in 93 out of my basement after being in it 10 years working for another company, I started my own, and I had the principals of other companies saying, you'll never make it in Omaha. There's not enough room for another company. Come join us. And I was respectful. And I said, thank you, but that was my fuel. Before you know it, we're the largest independent real estate firm in the Midwest, and these same companies that said I couldn't make it are offering me 7 figures to go away. Yeah, so proved me right. But so that is motivation. It is motivation when people say you can't, if you use it properly.
Well, and I heard you say too, I think, and this is one reason I wanted to have you on the show. What you said was I respectfully said thank you, or, and moved on. So how you treat people and the relationships that you build in your life are extremely important.
Yeah.
And I know this is something you talk about, and you do motivational speeches about it. And so I wanted you to speak to our listeners about that a little bit, if you wouldn't mind too.
Sure. And thanks, Nicole. So you're exactly right. We have the same philosophies on how to treat people. And there are 2 women, influential in my early career, that I listened to and read about, and I quote over and over and over again. And Mary Kay Ash is one of them, who proprietor, founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics, $1 billion company. And the other one is Maya Angelou. So Mary Kay Ash said, pretend everybody you meet has a sign around their neck that says, make me feel important. Well, I heard that and I'm like, wow, how easy is that for us to make everybody we meet feel like they matter? And then Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they won't forget the way you make them feel.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I know I use those 2 concepts and principles in everything I do. I want, when you do business with me, Nicole, I want you to want more. I want you to be like Walt Disney said. He said, I want your experience to be so magical that you're going to want to come back again and again and again. You can do that.
And you're going to tell everyone about it.
It's just like with your business. You do such a great job at what you do helping people. People want to see it again and again and again. And, our acquisition costs with that mindset, it's cost saving. If you make somebody feel so good about themselves or make them feel like they matter, or make them feel important, they're going to tell the world about you. So all of a sudden you're not out there spending money trying to get more customers.
Or employees.
Bingo.
If you're
and that's
in leadership,
huge.
employees, if employees feel valued, seen, and heard, we know that they want to stay, and they want to bring their friends along. They want to bring their family along. They want people to use whatever product you have because they feel seen and heard.
That is so true, and especially now today, I read that the great departure, or the great resignation, people quitting their companies. And I read a research that was out in March that 10 reasons why people are leaving their company, and these were factual. One of them, I really had a hard time digesting. It's 68% of people that leave their company are because of lack of appreciation by coworkers. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And the average cost to replace somebody is about $40,000. So why a leader in a company, a manager, a person of power will allow somebody to stay in their company that treats people poorly, it's costing them a fortune, plus it's upsetting the work environment. I think that now more than ever, just like all these companies are implementing a director of diversity and equity and inclusion.
Yes.
That's becoming the big thing with new companies.
Yes, it is.
I think they need to have a director of kindness. I know it sounds crazy, but we need to remind people, hey, by the way, you want to treat that person well. When you're walking to the copy machine, instead of looking down, when somebody passes by, look up and smile.
Yes.
That may be the only smile that person has all day. We don't know what their home life is like. We don't know what their spousal situation is, their kids, their finances. But we do know when they get to work, we have the God-given ability to treat them like they matter.
Mm-hmm.
And we want people, our ultimate goal is we want our coworkers to get up in the morning and say, I get to go to work, not I have to go to work.
Yes.
If you got somebody treating you poorly at work, you're probably going to say, I have to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
If you got people treating you wonderful at work and they treat you like you matter and you're important, chances are the employee's going to get up and say, I get to go to work today.
I can't wait to go to work today. And I'm going to be 10
wait
minutes
to come
early.
see you. Because I know what a bright spot you are in people's life. So.
Well, thank you very much. I have been told actually in some organizations I've worked in that it was too optimistic. Like, you're just optimistic and happy all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
That's not, don't pay attention.
Why?
To
I mean,
don't
why
pay
not?
attention to
Oh,
that
I mean,
person.
it didn't offend me. I was like, I hope that you can feel that way. Like, my hope is that it like bleeds through and like everybody feels that way, that it's contagious, because what is the point in going and being upset and being sad or being frustrated? And I also know that a lot of it's carried emotion, whether that be from a relationship with a significant other, a child. I mean, I've had my rough days with my kids some mornings, and I get to work. I'm like, oh God, thank God I'm here.
Yeah, it's your escape.
I'm so happy. Yeah, it really is. And I enjoy it. I've always enjoyed working, and it's fun for me and exciting. And I love helping people with conflict. And I think that really stems back to what you're saying about how we treat people. And I fall back with that saying, we forget what people say and do, that made us feel that way, but we don't forget how we felt around them.
No.
And additionally, if we have negative feelings, negative feelings in our brain are like Velcro, like they stick so well in our brain because that was our survival mechanism. When we had fear activated, when we had anger activated, it was for protection, right? Not that long ago, 200 years ago, maybe. I mean, maybe even less. And we had to, really come together and be a tribe to survive. And that was other people, other humans, but also the elements and weather and things like that. Well, now, when our fear is activated or our anxiety is activated or anger is activated, which usually it's not anger, it's something else, jealousy, whatever.
Jealousy's huge.
Yes. So, insecurity, embarrassment, any of those things, when those get activated, our brain still, we're not that far removed from survival mode. So it's fight, flight, freeze. And then we have to decide what we're going to do, right? But that sticks so much more. We remember that so much more than when we feel good, because our brain is not hardwired to hold on to our positive memories. And so I think of it, and I read a book, The Art of Coaching, actually, and she described it like a Teflon pan. And so it's like a very well sprayed Teflon pan. You get an egg in there and it will just slide around and slide right out. And so our brain doesn't hold on to positive feelings and positive emotions as much as it does negative. That's why somebody could go to Target, shop 100 times, and they have one bad experience there and they're just done. They're never going back again. And it's like, but what about the other 99 times that you had a positive experience there? Those don't stick in our brain near as much, but that goes back to feeling.
That makes a lot of sense.
And how our feelings are. So I really relate to that. And so with conflict is not bad.
Yeah.
And trying to, I think it's called The Good Fight. It's a book by Lane Devaney. And so it's about positive conflict and how conflict is not a bad thing. I'm like, conflict is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for me to understand you and where you're coming from.
I like that.
And your perspective. And it's an opportunity for you to understand my perspective and where I'm coming from. And this doesn't have to be like this blowout fight. Because really, okay, I don't have to agree with you, but I can respect your opinion and see your perspective. And I think we get that wrong a lot. I think we like to pit people against each other. I mean, we see that even in Hollywood, like so-and-so and so-and-so are not friends or, divorcing or whatever it might be. And that makes millions of dollars. It makes millions of dollars a week because people just want to read that about conflict. So I think we're also drawn kind of to conflict as well as humans. And so if we can really take a step back, get to know ourselves. I don't think you can be a good leader without knowing who you are and leading yourself properly. or not proper, effectively, I should say, or in a healthy way. And then you can lead other people to that as well.
I totally believe in everything you just said. Matter of fact, I may call you and have you repeat it sometime, because it's so that's very valuable information. It really is very valuable. Thank you for that.
Yes, of course. It's very important. So working like mediation or working with leaders through conflict is something I really enjoy doing, because at the heart of it, we come with our stuff. We have our own stuff that we come to work with, or we come home with from work. And it's like, okay, and I've given my kids permission too. If I'm in the grouchy mood, they can say, Mom, why are you in such a grouchy mood? And that helps me take a step back sometimes too. Like, oh, am I really stressed about something? Do I have a lot on my plate? Do I need to journal? Do I need to go to the gym? Do I need to talk to someone? But in that moment, I need to be there for my kids. And it's a great reminder for me, like, to reframe, like, oh, okay, I get the opportunity to be with my kids. And they're only this age once. And I'm extremely grateful for that.
That's a good mindset.
Well, sometimes I need a shift too. Like, I think we all need a shift.
But you need somebody to call you out to make you realize, and somebody you love and care about, that doesn't look like it's criticism. It's, hey, I love you. What's up?
Yes.
Why are you feeling this way today? But if it's criticism, we may take offense. If it's somebody we love, it may change our direction. I know if somebody gives me constructive criticism, I listen, and I want to, hey, you know what? You're right. And we're always trying to learn. I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to always go in every situation trying to learn something new. And I think you might get that when you coach leaders with your profession. You probably get people that, well, I've been doing this forever, I know everything. Well, that would be no fun. I'm going on this is my 39th year in real estate. I don't know everything. I coach a bunch of youngins that are in the business, but I go in those coaching sessions wanting to leave there learning something.
Yes.
Not just, giving information. I want to leave there better than they found me. And I think with that attitude, it makes us all better.
So what you're talking about is the growth mindset. So Dr. Carol Dweck wrote a book called Mindset, and she has done a ton of research, dedicated her career to the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. And with a growth mindset, we are always like open to learning. We know that there's more that we can acquire. We know that we can be better. We know that even if we fail, quote, fail, we can pick ourselves back up. And a fixed mindset is, that's too hard. I can't do it. I'm not going to change, nobody really changes. Kind of this notion that you can't teach a dog old tricks, which I don't believe. Even though I have an older dog who's blind. God love him. But so there's this notion that, and I see it all the time, and I always like to ask people too, like, how willing are you to work on yourself? Because if you're like happy with where you're at, or even unhappy with where you're at, but not uncomfortable enough to make any changes, which people are in that boat, right? And I've seen people that are not ready yet, and something happens and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to change. I need to change. And maybe that is going to the doctor and getting some news, or maybe that is, getting some, a message from someone, or losing someone. I think when we lose people, or people become very ill and have near-death experiences, we're really faced with our own mortality. And that's a time to do a really honest inventory. Am I living my best life?
I think that's an immediate question when you lose somebody, is you automatically take a look at your own life. At least I do. And, when I've lost people, I immediately stop and take a look. Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I in the place I'm supposed to be? And you really do. But, we're achievers. Our mindsets are, we don't want to waste any time. We want to be the best we can possibly be, not 5 days a week, every day. And I think that we put pressure on ourselves to make sure that we are that person every day, especially when we have people that are depending on us, our loved ones. People that are no longer with us, that are watching what we're doing, they're depending on us being the best we can possibly be. And so, it's a very healthy, productive mindset to always want to be your best. And sometimes it takes losing people to bring out your best. To say, hey, you know what? My life is short. I'm seeing people die that I care about. I have to do this now. I mean, I always close off on my newsletters I write monthly. If not now, when? And if not you, then who? Because
I love that.
Yeah, it's so true.
Can you say that one more time?
If not now, when? And if not you, then who? We're in control. I know so many people that are just waiting. Well, when this event happens, when my kids graduate high school, when this happens, when my husband, when my wife.
Oh my gosh, yes. The arrival fallacy. So when we finally arrive, or when we finally get to this point, then I'll be happy. Yeah. And it's like, that's if something goes over. Okay, so I don't get sayings right very well, so bear with me. I
don't either.
It's like it goes over like a lead balloon. Yeah, I think that's the saying.
Yeah. That's a saying.
Yeah. And so, but that's pretty much what that is. I'll be happy when this happens, but then it's something else. And that's what I really work to confront people on, obviously in a caring, compassionate way. Yeah. But why wait? Why wait?
I totally agree. Because you're not going to be the best you if you're holding back.
Exactly.
And people that love you are the ones that do not benefit by you not being what you can be.
Yes. And so when you coach on how you treat people, on how, the people that you mentor and the people that you speak with, what are kind of 2 to 3 tips or pointers that you give them?
That they have the ability to make those changes if they really want to. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that have transformed themselves. And a lot of times what's holding people back, it's not what they're doing in their business life, it's what they're doing in their personal life that's affecting their business life. So I've always dealt with straight commission people. That's my favorite audience, is salespeople and managers and leaders. But a lot of times what they're doing in their personal life is affecting their business life. And when I say that, I mean, you're not going to be the best you at a 9:00 meeting on a Tuesday morning if you stay out till 2 a.m. on Monday night. And I think that there's a lot of distractions in our lives. And that I tell people that one of my things I say to everybody is we're the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. If you hang out with 5 broke people, you're going to be the 6th. If you hang out with 5 people that don't respect others, you're going to be the 6th. If you hang out with 5 people that really want the best life has to offer, you're going to be the 6th. So, I experienced that. I mean, I let a lot of people go in my life over the course of my journey. And because they're, not that they were bad for me, but they weren't good for me. Does that mean I don't care about them and say hello and be friends? Yeah, but I'm not going to spend time with them. So if you're so what I preach is if you're really serious about not being average and going through life, just go through the motions, then you got to do things that above average people do. And that's they avoid the wrong people. They work a little harder. If your office hours are 8 to 5, you're there 7:30 to 5:30. These are the things you got to do to get to where you want to go. Yeah.
Yes. I saw.
It's the little things. What you just said. It's the little things that add up.
But are so important.
Yeah. But treating people right is everybody wants to be around people that treat them well. We just do. What's the benefit out of us not treating people well? And a lot of times it takes you away from your own issues. When you spend time trying to make other people feel like they matter and that they're important, it kind of takes you away from what your own reality is.
Absolutely. And more often than not, they're going to reciprocate that. Because what we have in our brain, these mirror neurons, that they mirror what we see on people's faces. And it starts as a baby, when we smile at our babies and we're like, ooh, my best friend just had a baby. So I've been like getting my baby fix in. But, I smile at her and she smiles back at me and then she'll talk to me. And so it's like what's happening in my brain, she has mirror neurons that are firing off. She's doing the same thing. People are the same, like adults are the same way. We have this really cool thing called neuroplasticity, which means that our brain is always able to change and we are always able to learn and grow and rewire our brain, either rewire it or remodel it, whatever you want to call it.
So we have the ability if we want it.
We absolutely have it, no matter what our age is. And so when we smile at somebody in the hallway, smile and say hi, it's like the mirror neurons in our brain kind of fire off. It's like, oh, I'm going to smile and say hi, right? Like I want to feel that that way.
Yep.
And I mean, the same concept is true when like you go to a funeral and it's supposed to be this sad place, right? Because for some reason we know that it's a celebration of life, but it is sad. It is sad to lose someone. But then you see a group of people over there that are laughing, like telling a story about something, and they're all laughing. We're like drawn to that. We want to know like what story are they telling?
Yeah.
And then we come over, we start hearing part of the story, and we start laughing with them.
Right.
Because as humans,
Contagious.
it is.
Yeah.
As humans, we need that bond. That's how we bond.
Yep.
And there's vulnerability in that, and it's really, really beautiful.
I agree with you. I need to hear you a lot more because you remind me of things. I mean, and, we all need to be reminded. Even preachers like you and I, we need to be.
Oh,
reminded.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I am constantly consuming,
Yeah.
uplifting, positive. I'm learning about things. I'm such a nerd. So when I listen to books, I have the Audible book and then I have the paper book. And so it's like read to me. So I have the audio visual. And so then I can take notes in the actual hard copy of the book, and it helps just solidify that information into my brain.
Yep.
And so I really try to do that quite often because I want to learn more. I want to be better. I know I still have a long way to go. And I also, in the same turn, have to give myself permission that, okay, on Sunday or on Saturday, I'm going to hang out with my kids.
Yeah.
And I'm going to not go to the
Balance.
gym. And I'm going to but I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I'm going to enjoy that. And I'm going to be a better person because I'm going to have better balance in my life too. Because I could be a workaholic. Like I'm 100% could be a workaholic.
Because you love what you do.
I love what I do.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
But then I also don't want to look back and say, oh, I missed out on time with my kids because I was working so much. So
That's
and
a great balance.
I'm fortunate that I had the opportunity to do that too, I have to say. So yes, so I guess kind of the theme for today that I wanted to talk about was how we treat people, how we make people feel, and what is so important about that. And I think if you can really remember somebody that you worked for, or somebody that even a stranger that you saw that made you feel happy or positive about yourself, what did they say? What did they do? And maybe you don't remember that, but how could you spread that happiness and spread that acceptance and love?
I think that people want to be validated. And just, messages of encouragement. And you have the ability to be this person. You have, and I always remind people that you don't have to be great to get started. You just have to get started to be great. And everybody started somewhere.
Yes.
So I really believe that, when we're talking with people, to encouragement that they're okay, people that are nervous about what they're about to do or they're concerned about their future, everybody's got a different need and a different want. If we can say anything, like I know that people say, where do I start? Well, it starts with a piece of paper and a plan, and you have to write it down. I mean, there's a beginning for everything. But if we want to be valuable while we're alive and in this form on this earth, encouragement is everything. I don't know another form of kindness besides encouraging people to be the best they can be. And it's okay if they fail.
Absolutely.
It's okay if you make mistakes. I mean, I've learned more from my failures than I've ever learned from my victories.
Absolutely.
And that's because you want to learn. But, you got to get to that point where you feel so grateful, one, you're alive, and two, you got to be grateful that you have the ability to make changes. I believe that we can have a bad day, a bad month, a bad year, and we can make a decision tonight. Everybody can make a decision tonight saying, tomorrow morning, I'm going to start doing what I know I'm capable of. I'm going to be the person that I am supposed to be.
And if I don't know
never
how,
too late.
Exactly. I agree 100%. And if I don't know how, then I'm going to use my resources.
Yeah, and hire people.
And
like
I'm going to ask for help.
Yeah, and that's where people like you come in. Yeah, you got to pick up the phone, hire Nicole, say, help me be the best I can be. I mean, it's the truth. I mean, you have the ability. You know, if somebody came to you, Nicole, and said, I want to be better at what I do, you're not going to even hesitate. You know you can help them.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what it's about.
That's what I love. It gives me so much energy. I get so excited about it.
Yeah.
Like, yes. Like when somebody has a breakthrough, it's like, yes, you know,
Yeah.
because they're doing the work.
Yeah.
I'm just helping facilitate it.
And when you get a compliment, doesn't it charge you up to want to be even better?
Yeah, and I want to learn more, and I want to make sure that I know,
Yeah.
like, that the resources I'm providing
Yeah.
are the best resources for that person, because we don't all learn the same way. We don't all take in information the same way, and we don't experience everything the same way. So I want to make sure I have tools in my toolbox that I can hand out to other people that fit them.
Yep. And I think one thing too is we don't praise enough. We need to, the more we practice praising others, it's going to come back to us tenfold, but we're going to see what it feels like to make somebody else's day. And I mean, you can start, you know, people say, well, how do I start doing that? Well, anytime you get a service and it's good service, don't keep it a secret. Tell that person. I want to use an example. Yesterday, I had lunch with a buddy of mine. We had great service. I told the guy right to it when the lunch was over, I said, your service really made our lunch, you know, more enjoyable. We have to be comfortable giving praise.
Absolutely.
And especially with managers and leaders. A lot of managers and leaders are there hearing complaints. They're the complaint department. Pick up the phone and call them. I had a great experience with one of your workers, and I wanted to let you know.
So I worked in retail for a long time when I was younger, and that was one of the things. Like, we heard so many complaints, and it was you know, it was draining and it was hard, but you know, I'm a problem solver. I'll solve the problem. Although I wish I had the maturity I have now back then. I think I
Wisdom.
Yeah, the wisdom and maturity. I think, you know, not to take things personally. Things like that.
Oh, that's a journey.
It's never
right
personal.
there.
It's never personal.
I know, but not taking things personally is a journey.
Yeah, but to tell 18-year-old me that, like, I was like, oh my God, you know. But
it's because you want to please.
Whenever we had somebody say, can I talk to a manager? And then, you know, we'd come up and they're like, we just wanted to say that we got excellent service. We came to return this, or we had an issue with that. And it was such a seamless process. It's like, oh my gosh, you just like filled my bucket.
Yeah.
For like a week. Now I have enough to go the next week just hearing complaint
after complaint. It empowered you to even be better to others.
Absolutely it did. So that's a really good point that you bring up. I'm glad you brought that up.
I had I do a lot of real estate. I mean, I'll do a lot of speaking to all industries coast to coast, but I'll recall one of many emails I've got is I did one in Albuquerque, and a company hired me and they got credit. Continuing education credit if they came to my speech. There's probably 300 people there. And I get an email from a guy and he goes, I only came to your speech because I needed the credit. But your content got me rejuvenated about being in this business, and I'm implementing what you said. Now I enjoy it, and I'm so glad I came. Well, compliments like that make you want to even work harder when you know. But if these guys don't tell you, hey, you made an impact in my life, Nicole, how are we going to know? We've got to let people know you're making a difference in my life. That's praise. And if they're close enough to you, you know, take the constructive criticism. Don't take it personal. I've been working my whole life on not taking things personal. I think I'm doing pretty good in my later years, but in my beginning years, if I wanted everybody to be pleased with everything I did. Well, it's not going to happen, you know, and you got to understand that. And like you say, you can't take it personal.
Yes. Well, we could probably do another podcast on that. I'm going to actually write it down.
Okay.
Right now.
You want me to come back tomorrow?
Next week. How about next week? But not taking things personally, I think that would be a really good topic too, because we've all been guilty of it. Like even sometimes now I'll see a message come across, or you know, I'll see something, I'm like, oh my God, now I don't take it. Now it doesn't get me angry, because I think I used anger to cover up a lot of emotions in my younger years. But now it's like just hurtful. I'm like, gosh, why would somebody say that? Or why?
Social media today, people are really taking things personal.
That's a whole nother ball game in and of itself. Which I have young daughters, so I'm obviously very
protective.
Very protective of that. Like, Mommy, when can we get TikTok? I don't even have TikTok.
Yeah.
Because I also know myself and I have to set limits for myself.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, would I like to have TikTok and look at cute animal videos?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, but I would probably do that for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And then be like, oh my God, did I really spend an hour and a half looking at cute animal videos? Yeah. But that's a whole nother thing. But anyway, I really, really appreciate you coming on today, sharing how you treat people, why that matters so much, how you've seen that in practice in your life and in the lives of others. And I think there's a ripple effect that comes from that as well, because not only do you touch someone, you touch every one of them. And I think we didn't state it necessarily, but we talked about how what happens at work affects your home life and what happens at home affects your work life. And so that's kind of what my theory of coaching is. It's not just coaching for work. It's not just coaching for leadership. It's coaching if you come in and we have a plan to do something, but you had a rough day with a rough night with your children, or, you're going through a family issue or something with a friend, that's going to impact the work that you do. So let's process it. Let's talk about it. Let's come up with an action plan together, because it doesn't matter if it starts at home or work. It will all ebb and flow together anyway. Yeah.
I need to hire you as my coach. You're very, very wise.
Oh gosh. I mean,
you're very wise. I've just spending time with you, I've learned a lot today. So
I've learned a lot from you.
Well, thank you. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be on your show.
Thank you so very much. Yeah. All right. Well, you take care.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.